I'm speaking to Norwich United centre-back Sam Watts, who's just signed a new contract and also been appointed club captain for this season. So, Sam, are you pleased to sign up for the Planters this year? And also, how happy are you to be appointed club captain?
Definitely, yeah, absolutely delighted. I mean, it's a club that I've been at for a long time now, and absolutely love everyone involved. So, when the decision came to make a decision to stay or leave, I was always going to stay. So yeah, delighted to sign a new deal, and then I guess to be appointed captain is pretty special. So when Steve gave me the call and said we'd like you to be skipper, it was a no-brainer for me. So yeah, delighted and really looking forward to leading the lads out. I mean, Andy's done an amazing job in his time as captain and been really successful. So it's big shoes to step into, but I'm really looking forward to it. And Andy's still going to be around to lead by example. It's just a bit different when you've got the armband around your arm.
Were you kind of vice captain last year? Would you take the armband if Andy went off injured or whatever?
I was, yeah. So I was vice last year. So the few games that Andy didn't play, I was skipper. So it's not particularly something new to me. Just might have to get a bigger armband because the armband Andy used was pretty skinny. It used to fit him, but it didn't fit me. So a bigger armband wouldn't go amiss.
Well, indeed, yeah. I can imagine. Okay, so I mean, how? Obviously, you said you were vice captain before, but how will your responsibilities change, and what is the role of the captain at a club like Norwich United?
I don't think my roles or responsibilities will change too much. I'm still a senior lad, and I think it's up to all of our senior lads to guide some of the younger players and to support them. And we're lucky at Norwich United. We've got a great blend of older senior lads like myself, Andy, Apples, Wonesy. Got some good senior lads there, and we've got some really good youth coming through. So I think it's our job just to support them and keep their feet on the ground. But a skipper on match day, things will change a little bit. We have little huddles before the game, so I'll have to contribute a bit more on those, which is always good. But I don't think it will change completely. It'll be more of what I've been doing the last few seasons, and just being a senior lad that people can talk to, and just supporting the youngsters.
Okay, great. So when I was speaking to the manager, Steve Eastoe, he said he wanted his senior players to quite literally, make tactical changes there and then during game, under their own steam without his instruction. Firstly, is that something you've had the responsibility to do before? And is it something you feel comfortable doing? Suddenly saying, right, we actually need to drop a guy into defensive midfield here or something.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when Steve's manager before, and with any manager, to be honest, I mean, it's their responsibility to, set up the formation before the game and to give us instructions. But if things aren't working in game, it's our responsibility to maybe change something, like you just said, maybe change something tactically or formation-wise. And that's something that we would do anyway. As players, we can't just solely rely on the manager's instructions and what they want us to do. We have to change things and adapt things in game. There's something that I've called before, so I've no problem doing that again. It's something that actually, as a team, we're quite good, and we recognise situations where we maybe have to just slow the game down a bit, or just tweak something. So it's not new. And like I said, we've got some good guys in the 11 and the whole squad that are good at doing that and recognising when a situation needs changing.
I guess I'd be interested to know a bit more about your sort of footballing background. So I guess, how long have you been at Norwich United first? I know it goes back to Steve's first spell, but how long have you been at Norwich United, and who originally brought you to the club? Which manager?
So I think this is my fifth season. So Steve originally brought me to the club and signed me from Halston Town, who were in the Angling combination at the time. This will be my fifth season. I think I'm nearly at 200 appearances, which has gone so quickly. But Youth level, I was always in some county teams at youth level. I played for Great Yarmouth when I was 17, 18. Then I moved to London for 3.5 years and was playing in some of the local leagues out that way and at university level. And I came back and signed for Harleston because I knew some guys there, and then Steve picked me up. So at the time, it was a bit of a jump up because we were in the Isthmian then. So I think I jumped up 3 leagues, I think it was, which was good. But yeah, it's my 5th season, so it's gone so quickly. And some of the youngsters that are coming through now, I mean, some of them are born in like the year 2000, which to me is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because
me too.
although I'm still in the 90s, we've got a few of the lads who are in the mid 80s, which is quite hilarious when these new boys coming through. But yeah, this is my 5th season, and Steve brought me to the club, so he's the one initially that showed some faith in me and thought that I could make the step up. And I think I repaid him in his first spell. So it's good to team up with Steve again. We think a lot of each other. So yeah, 5th season, getting on, mate.
Well, indeed, it happens to the best of us, I guess. Okay, so you mentioned that jump up from sort of 3 levels from Harleston to Norwich United before. What would you say was you said it was a big adjustment. What was the biggest sort of factor in that? Did you have to get fitter? Was it the fitness of other players, the speed of other players, the intelligence, if you like? What was the sort of biggest difference?
I think there is a certain element with fitness and physicality, but I think I was right in that department. I think it's more and pace of games and decision making. A lot of that games, that level, are won on finer margins as opposed to lower levels. So but don't get me wrong. I mean, teams in the Isthmian and even the league we're in now are stronger, fitter, probably more streetwise. And everyone, most players you play against deserves to be playing at that level. So it is a jump up, but one that I enjoyed, and I want to get this club now back to where I think they belong, which is at Isthmian level.
Excellent. What would you say is the most sort of memorable game you've been involved in? Either the biggest occasion or just the most memorable in terms of funny incidents or whatever, however you want to take that question, really.
Tricky question. I've had some great games with Norwich United. The first season I joined, I think we weren't written off, but we definitely weren't supposed to finish as high up as we did, being our first season at that level. And some of the away games. The best thing about Norwich United, I think a lot of players who leave the club would vouch for me and say that the dressing room is pretty special. You've got some big characters in there that even on the dark days are still, in a strange way, a great place to be. I'd have to say 2 things for me. One of them, even though we got relegated that year, was Canvey Island away. We went there on a Tuesday night, dark, windy Tuesday night, and we won, I think it was 4-1 against the odds when we were down there battling relegation. And like most away games, the journey home is pretty loud. So that was a special game. There's loads I could pick out from last year, but the Senior Cup win at Carrow Road, I don't think the club had won it before, hadn't won it for a long time. So to go to Carrow Road and win there was pretty special. So I'd probably pick them 2. But like I said, there's the away games. A lot of players locally don't like travelling, but I think if you're a Norwich United player, the travelling's probably the best bit. It's so much fun.
Excellent. Glad to hear it. Well, if you do get promoted, then obviously there'll be longer away trips the following season. So it's good you're not going to mind that too much. What do you think was the key to last season's success, although it didn't end in promotion or anything? But what was so good about last season? What made everything click?
I touched on it earlier. I think the blend of experienced senior lads and talented youth players went a long way. I mean, the spine of the team is experienced, that have played at that level. We've got players in the team that have won that division, multiple times. And then just talented youth players who've got, good work ethic and just willing to put the hours in,
Mm.
went a long way. Cedric and Tom done a great job. I think something just clicked from the start, and we had goals in the team, and we had a good defensive unit as well. And I think this season, looking forward, we've still got that core intact. So we're still going to be hard to beat. We're still going to be organised. Although we've lost a couple of front lads, that happens in football. We've brought in some lads that are really talented as well. So I think hopefully more of the same this year, but we've got a great balance between experienced and older lads who've been at the level, been there, done it type thing, and some youth that are talented. So I'd probably say that.
Great. Okay. Does it make a difference? This is just one I'm intrigued about, really. But does it make a difference which side of central defence you play?
I think it's just what you're used to. So since I've been at the club, I've played with Andy, well, for pretty much 80-90% of it, and I'm right side and he's left side.
Yeah.
I think for us it comes down to who's got the worst left foot, and who doesn't want to play on the left, but which is probably me, to be honest. But I don't think it matters too much. I think it's just what you're used to, and we're used to that. We both know each other's games, and the fullbacks we play next to. I love playing next to Harry, and he loves playing next to Dylan, and so it's been a good mix.
Yeah.
But I don't think it matters too much. But yeah, if you asked Andy, he'd probably say that he wanted to play on the right. But now I'm skipper, I can pull rank, so I'm staying on the right hand side.
Absolutely. And I believe Macgee, is it, the new centre back, is left footed, so that's another indication you're safe on the right, I guess.
Yeah, no. Max come in, even in the couple of training sessions he's been there, he's shown that he's got ability and he's a good player, and he can either play centre half or left back. So we've got a lot of options now, and left-footed centre halves are hard to come by. So he's going to be great in his competition for places. So I think, but yeah, like you said, I think I'm still going to be on the right hand side, which I'm happy with.
Excellent. And how important would you? I mean, I guess it is going to be important, but how important is the relationship with your fellow centre back? And do you think it's more important for a centre back, that relationship between the two of you, than it is for, say, other positions on the field?
I think you've got to have good relationships across the whole park. I think being a centre back, you're obviously the last line of defence, so you've got less margin for error. But playing with Andy, we both know each other's games inside and out. We both know what each other are good at, and maybe what our weak points are, which definitely helps, especially when you're up against it and you're not playing particularly well as a team. It definitely helps, and it helps having one of your mates next to you as well. And I think we've got the whole squad are pretty friendly, and we've got lots of good partnerships across the team. But having someone who you're pretty close to back there, it helps. And it's also good fun. I mean, we have a laugh. It sounds pretty ridiculous. I know you watch most games, and even when it's tense, we have a laugh back there, and we're constantly talking to each other about different things, or winding up the oppo, whatever it is. So no, it's good fun. But yeah, I enjoy playing next to him. I do think having a good partnership and even friendship, or just knowing each other's games is pretty crucial.
Excellent. Okay. Obviously, as I'm sure yours is the same as mine, Plantation Park is our favourite ground in the Thurlow Nunn. But I do love going to games at Gorleston, just mostly because of the enclosed stand and how that feels like kind of proper ground in a lot of ways. Do you have a favourite ground to go away and play at? Does it really matter to you? Is it once you're on the pitch you don't really care, but do you have favourite away grounds to go to, and what are they?
Good question. I mean, it doesn't really matter. I actually prefer a better changing room facility, and we're lucky at Plantation Park that I'd say we've probably got the best changing room, probably the only carpeted changing room in the Thurlow. But there's also some nice pitches you go to. I mean, Newmarket have got a 3G, which is nice. You go to some other grounds where the changing facilities and stuff, aren't as good. Clacton for one. Sorry, any Clacton fans, and Long Melford are not great places to go to in terms of the facility.
And UEA last year,
there's,
maybe.
Stone yeah, exactly. Got a long old walk to the pitch, but Stone got a good setup, good pitch. But I don't think it matters. I think Norwich United, we can play long ball and a bit more direct, or actually, if we play on a nice pitch, we can actually mix it up and start playing a bit more football. So I don't think it matters too much, but definitely, and a lot of people vouch for me. Plantation Park changing facilities, especially the home room, is the best in the league in my opinion.
Wow. Okay. Controversial.
Unless you get changed next to Sam Applegate, and then maybe it's not because he's the worst person in local football to get changed next to.
Well, in the space of a few days, he's been called Sam Applegate has been called the most hated player in the Thurlow None by opposition fans, and also the worst player in football to get changed next to. So he's making a name for himself on these.
Well, he'd even admit that himself, that he's the most hated player in the Thurlow None.
That should be a badge of
honor. And he even knows that he's a nightmare. He's a nightmare to get changed next to. But I go back to big characters in the dressing room. And he's one of them. I mean, he's the class clown, if you like. Everyone's sort of laughing at him. He's always making jokes and just being a general idiot. So I wouldn't have him any other way.
Dare I ask what makes it particularly bad to be next to him in the changing room?
Just things like he's always in your way. I've never got any space, and our change room is quite spacious, but he takes up all the space. He's scoffing himself with sweets. He's dancing. He's never got any clothes on. Just little things, they add up, and sure the rest of the partners will agree in saying that.
That's excellent to hear. Yeah, I certainly enjoy watching him on the pitch, and shows his character on the pitch as well as in the dressing room, I think, at times. Okay, so obviously, as a defender, opportunities are relatively limited. But so, do you remember every goal you've scored? Can you picture them all? Are they things that remain in your memory, or do you look back to 5 years ago and you can't remember it?
I think as a centre half, I'm not too bad on the goal front. I reckon I've scored around 10 to 15, maybe about 15 since I joined. Yeah. It doesn't sound a lot, but as a centre half, it's not too bad. I think I do remember most goals. And I also remember the ones I miss as well. But Stanway last year, sorry, I don't know if you were there, but Stanway last year was a corker, if I say so myself. I caught that one nice. But yeah, I do remember one. I think it was Boxing Day against Wroxham. It was a goal-mouth scramble. So I remember probably the goals scored in bigger games. But now, yeah, I'm a bit of a sadder. I do remember every goal. But more importantly, do you remember any of my goals?
You see, I can remember you heading the ball into the net from a corner at the far end at Plantation Park. But if you asked me what game it was, I'd struggle, to be honest. If I was asked the question, which Norwich United defender scored most goals last season, I'd have answered your name straight away. So take it as I certainly, I can remember you scoring at least a couple.
You'd be correct.
Absolutely. Do you find balancing work and playing commitments difficult? Because obviously, I presume you work, full time or whatever. Is that a difficult thing to balance with obviously not so much travelling at this level, but you're still going away on Tuesday nights, every Saturday's taken up? I presume there's another training on Thursday, whatever. Is it hard to balance that work-life, family sort of balance?
For me, no. I'm quite lucky with my work. They allow a lot of flexibility. I know it's a little bit harder for some of the other boys. Travel at this level is not too bad, but hopefully if we get promoted, it's a bit harder because you're getting in at on Tuesday night away fixtures, you're getting in at 1, 2 a.m. and up for work early the next day. So that's not always ideal. But like I said, the away travel for me is so much fun. It sort of softens the blow. Yeah, it's not too bad for me. I know some of the other boys who are up early. If we have Tuesday night games, it's a bit harder for, and we train, twice a week. We've been training 3 times a week through pre-season, so it's a bit harder. But for me, it's not too much of a problem.
Right. Okay. That's good to hear. Okay. And would you obviously you're going to be carrying on playing for the foreseeable future, but have you thought at all about whether you'd want to go into coaching or management in your as you get older, follow in Andy's footsteps and be a plant assistant or whatever?
I'm gonna say no. I mean, hopefully I've got a few more years left in me. I'm not 30 yet, so hopefully I've got a few more years left in me, and I want to make as many appearances for Norwich United as I can. Coaching or management's never something that I've really had my eyes set on, to be honest. Just because I think when I retire from the game, that'll be me done. I'll go and watch the odd maybe local game or friends or whatever that are still playing. But I think because you invest so much time in it, and it takes up so much of your life, even at non-league level, I don't think I can then go into I don't think it's something I'd enjoy. I don't think coaching and getting prepared for fixtures and the season, I don't think it's something that I'd want to go. But I'd never say never. I think Andy's, I think it's natural for him. He enjoys that side of the game. He's a natural in management and man management. I think it's something that comes natural to him. I'm not saying it doesn't for me, but I don't think it's something at this stage. And I think if you ask some of the other guys in the team, you probably get a mixed response as well.
Absolutely. Okay. Obviously, you'll have played with the majority of the new signings that have been announced. Certainly, most of them you'll have played with before, such as I imagine you played with Natty Stewart before, and Macgee perhaps. Is it Anthony Wilton and Sean Wones? Would you have played with all of those before?
Yeah, so I've played with Wonesy, Wilt, and Natty in their first spell at Norwich United. So they're three guys that I know really well. Yeah. Some of the new signings, like Doyley, Mac, Hunzy, I've not played with, but even in the short time I've had in training, they're lads that I think are gonna slot straight in. So I think, like I said, we've got a really good balance, and I think it's about recruiting the right type of player who's going to fit in and is going to be, it sounds a bit cliche, but going to be a planter. And I think the ones we've signed so far have very much fit that mould.
Great. Yeah. I mean, people I've been speaking to so far, the thing that keeps coming up is the atmosphere in the dressing room and how that's always really positive regardless of results, and that there's that good mix of age groups. Obviously, it must have been very strange not playing football from, I guess, the middle of March up to now. How was it going back to training? Was it exciting to be back? And how has training been so far?
It's great. It's great to be back. More so because you're back with the lads, and I missed that in the time that we spent sort of with no football for 3 months. It was difficult not seeing all the boys, because it's the camaraderie and the crack, so much fun. You do miss that side. I kept myself in pretty good shape anyway, so the fitness side of coming back to training wasn't too much of an issue. I know it's probably more of an issue for some other of the guys, but just being in and around the team and just having a laugh and getting back to you spend a lot of time with these boys. You're training 3 times a week at the moment. Got our first fixture on Saturday. You spend a lot of time with them, and even socials outside of football training and fixtures. We do a lot as a team socially, so you spend a lot of time with them. So when that wasn't there, you do miss it. But again, it wasn't in the same way. It was nice to have some time off. Obviously, the way last season ended wasn't ideal, given how well we've done, and I think a lot of us just needed some time off just to come back a bit more refreshed. But we're back in full time now. We contact training for, what is it, a week, 2 weeks. Yeah, it's good to be back. It's really good to be back.
Excellent. And as you said, friendlies start on Saturday, I think, and Fakenham away. Must be looking forward to a proper full-sized game. Obviously, we won't be having supporters in for friendlies, but hopefully when the season starts, we'll see what happens there. But you must be looking forward to getting going.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, buzzing to be playing an actual competitive game. Saturday, it feels like it's been ages. So it'd be good to get back and see where we're all at fitness-wise, and also to see how the new boys are going to gel with the new team. It's always a bit of an unknown. Obviously, in training, it's a little bit different because you're playing in house. But when it's competitive, it'll be good to see how those new boys fit in, and hopefully, I'm sure they'll be great. Yeah, it all starts Saturday, and the season's not too far away either. So everything's gearing up for that first game. So it'll be interesting to see how we all perform Saturday.
Okay. And we've talked about players you played with before. Obviously, you know Steve from before, and Sean and Andy are no strangers either. But have you worked with Martin Meek before? How has he settled into joining in?
I have worked with Macgee before.
Right.
He was there in my second year at the club, I think. To see Macgee is Steve's right hand man. He's actually hilarious to be around. He's sort of taking the mick out of him, and he gives it back, and it's good vibes. So it's good to be around Macgee again. He's been doing some bits and pieces in pre-season, and yeah, it's good to have him around the place. Even if we're just going to take the mick out of him, which most of us do, but he does serve a purpose. Having said that, he's a great coach, and he's a great man to have around, and yeah, he's one of those guys that's needed at every club.
Great. Okay. So obviously we're looking ahead to the new season now, and it's not too far away. What are your personal targets for the season, and what are the team's targets for the season?
The team's targets definitely has got to be promotion. Obviously, we may have got promoted last year. We came close. We've kept a lot of the same side. We've brought in some good new additions. So promotion is definitely a goal for the team, and also to have good cup runs as well. Historically, we've not done very well in the FA Cup, so I think that's something and the FA VAR. So I think it's something we really want to have a good crack at this season. So yeah, I think they're the team goals. Personally, I mean, if I can contribute towards that, then I'm happy. I don't set myself a target of X amount of goals or clean sheets. It's more about if the team's winning, then I'm happy, and if I'm contributing to that and playing well, then great. Clean sheets are great, but I wouldn't set myself. I think some of the keepers might set themselves a target of clean sheets, but as long as we're winning games of football, I don't really care. And if I can support the younger lads to become better players and better men, then yeah, they're my targets. But yeah, it's more about the team.